This chapter starts off with a strong opening from Okkotsu, who is just ostensibly dominating Kuro Urushi here, like lobbing off his cursed tool-wielding arm, giving him like a kung fu style backhand, and then capitalizing on top of that by just sending him into the river. And as Kuro Urushi is like regaining his ground using like his cockroach swarm, which like resembles a tornado, Okkotsu notices that he's being observed by two players, and as we the audience know, he has been observed for quite a while now, and it's the rockabilly looking guy Ryu and the partially transparent woman Takako. Ryu said to have the highest cursed energy output of all the players, and Takako said to be able to control the sky. We still don't have too much more input into these individuals, but they are pretty important because, like I said, they've been watching for a while and they've been set up as like the two big bads of like, I guess, Okkotsu's first wave of culling game bosses. But since Okkotsu is at a much higher level than Yuji and Megumi, therefore his opposition must be at a higher level than what they faced as well with Reggie and Higuruma. But then we get an inner monologue from Okkotsu explaining how he wants to take Kuro Urushi out. Since he's dealing with a cursed spirit, the path of least resistance would just be using positive cursed energy from reverse curse technique on him. And he likens this to how he dealt with Yuji before. This was like around the chapter 140-ish realm, because we were led to believe that he was like straight up executing Yuji because that was his perceived orders, but he was just fulfilling a binding vow to the higher ups and then immediately just use positive curse energy to heal Yuji from the wound. However, if he were to do this to, let's say, a cursed spirit like Kuro Urushi, he would be completely eviscerated by it. And we have seen this application of positive curse energy used before with Maharaga. Like his sword of extermination, the thing that he has like taped onto his arm, was said to be coated in positive cursed energy, which is one of the many reasons why he was such an incredible powerhouse, especially against curses. But since we have the two bosses spectating, Okkotsu, knowing that he's very likely going to have to face them after this, he doesn't want to show too many of his cards to them, such as being able to use reverse curse technique. But it's also revealed that he has Rika protecting the civilians inside of the stadium. They were originally trapped in there because of the first boss guy, Drew's whole Shikigami base of operations thing going on. But also on top of that, Kuro Urushi's cockroach swarm could just, devour them in any second. And I like this dynamic because, as we see, Okkotsu just by himself is dominating Kuro Urushi. So if he had Rika with him, then it would be no diff at all. So this is a great way of, upping the stakes. And then we get some brief dialogue between Okkotsu and Kuro Urushi where it's like, why are you interfering? Why are you killing me? And then Okkotsu's like, why are you killing people? Then Kuro Urushi, just like, a typical cursed spirit, doesn't really have a great explanation other than, I like the taste of iron. Then Kuro Urushi decides to use his blinding earth and insect trance, and we get what we get here. This is some like insect sack demons. This is like something straight out of South Park, I swear. And then Kuro Urushi sends like his cockroach swarm at Okkotsu, but he like nullifies them by, I guess, using like a big cursed energy blast, slamming it like into the river. Then the sack creatures go after him and it looks like Okkotsu is like slashing them by the sacks. Then after that, Kuro Urushi comes on the follow-up with his festering life sword, which was said to mix life and death. And I guess we're seeing some of the life aspect here, because as they're clashing, the eyeball looking things like shoot out of it onto Okkotsu's shoulder. And then they like emerge out of it, clearly doing some damage to him. But Okkotsu like easily beheads them, but while he's doing that, Kuro Urushi comes to the midsection with a slash and makes direct contact. And this was so devastating that like Ryu and Takako pretty much assumed that he's been defeated by this, and we see Kuro Urushi about to eat him because that's like his thing. He's constantly hungry because it stimulates parthenogenesis. But Okkotsu hits him with the reverse Uno card and instead puts his mouth on his and blows direct positive cursed energy into him. And like we established, it eviscerates cursed spirits and it like blows him in half. Then the Kogani appears and acknowledges that he had been defeated, and he gives Okkotsu 5 points. Now, as for the parthenogenesis stuff, essentially means that he can like develop an offspring within him if fertilized. And also it was implied if he ate enough. Now I don't know if him eating that one civilian was enough or if he had some built up, although it did say that he was starving after he was released. And since we do see that part of his body is intact, I mean, I guess it's gonna like dissolve or disintegrate eventually. I mean, we don't see it on panel, but I'm just assuming that Gege just didn't have that whole parthenogenesis part of that as just like a throwaway exposition. Maybe it'll come back and play later, like once Okkotsu thinks everything's done, or maybe even during the Takako fight or the possible future Ryu fight, then he like appears maybe. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you know, it's just something to put in the back of your mind in case it happens. So after Kurorushi has been defeated, Takako immediately comes down and starts talking to Okkotsu in his ear, and it's like, seems like you can use reverse curse technique. Then the reality looks like it starts to warp, and I'm pretty sure this is Takako's curse technique, which was said that she could control the sky. That's all that we got on it so far. I'm sure we'll get a whole bunch of needlessly confusing exposition on it in the next 2 chapters maybe. This makes me wonder, like, is Okkotsu like gonna have to run the gauntlet here? I mean, so far he has. It was established that there was like the 4 bosses of Sendai, like the colony that he's in right now. It was like Druve, Kurorushi, Takako, and Ryu. Ryu clearly established as, you know, basically the strongest one here since he has the highest cursed energy output of all players. I don't know if it means everyone in the culling game or just in this colony, but it seems like he was established as like, you know, the biggest threat here, but they were all kind of at a standstill because of each other, and they didn't want to individually make their moves until one of them was taken out, and we actually see that happening. You know, Okkotsu took out Druve, then that led to Kurorushi releasing himself, then Okkotsu took out Kurorushi, now Takako's coming down, and I'm assuming that Okkotsu is going to take out Takako here, but since he is coming off of, you know, a mid-div battle against Kurorushi and is still suffering from these injuries, which I'm assuming he hasn't healed yet, unless he did. I mean, he can, you know, reverse curse technique, but he's going to have a much difficult battle here with Takako. And then if he does defeat her, then I guess that's when Ryu steps in and he's, you know, at death's door there. Or maybe that's when the parthenogenesis of Kurorushi comes into play. I also wonder if this is like a way that Gege is going to remove Okkotsu from helping Yuji and Megumi too much, like have him really beat down after these boss battles, almost to the point of, like I said, he's at death's door. Or possibly this is how he just nerfs Okkotsu because he's just way too powerful at this point. The stakes need to be raised even higher, I suppose, aside from just introducing characters who were just randomly as strong as Okkotsu this whole time, which is always a possibility with these sorcerers from 1,000 years ago. Not really sure, but you guys already know everything that's going to happen and everything that already has, so feel free to let me know in the comments, and if you liked the video, subscribe. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.